Today we've got the March prediction for the 2024 U.S. Senate elections. Given we're still 8 months away, I haven't really made many changes. We've still got to get through a ton of the primaries, including Super Tuesday, which is tomorrow. I'm planning on doing a live stream for that. So your map is probably going to look a little bit different. Obviously, we all don't have to have the same map. So the last time I did this was in December. Every time I go through every state to see what the updates are. So let's dive into this, and we're going to start with the safe states. These are expected to be over a 10-point margin and not competitive. For the Democrats, they're going to get Hawaii, Washington, in California, if it is Steve Garvey in the general election. Under 20 is a possibility. In New Mexico, the Republicans might be putting up the daughter of a former U.S. Senator there. But as of now, this is still going to be safe. Also safe for the Dems, we've got Minnesota. On the East Coast, Maine has Angus King. He's technically an independent who caucuses with the Democrats. Whatever happens there, that's still going to stay safe blue. We've also got Vermont, New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. Again, maybe something comes up. As of right now, there's a weak Republican bench here, and for the most part, the incumbents are running. We've got to see what Bernie Sanders does, but either way, Republicans have pretty much no shot in these states. And the last safe state for the Democrats is going to be Delaware. Now let's go on to the safe states for the Republicans. They are going to get Utah. Romney is retiring. It's an open seat. It should theoretically be a little bit more competitive, and Republicans have a primary to get through. We don't know if it's going to be John Curtis, Trent Staggs, or maybe Brad Wilson, but the lean of the state is going to keep this at safe. Also, Wyoming. I don't think John Barrasso has officially announced he's running again. Doesn't matter, it's a super red state. Same in North Dakota, and Nebraska has 2 Senate elections this year. They're both going to stay safe, although the regular election with Deb Fischer, Democrats there have an independent candidate, Dan Osborne. It looks like the Democrats are getting behind him so he can get some crossover support between the Dems and the independents. That could be something to take a look at, but for now, Fischer is the incumbent. I'm going to keep it at safe. Next door in Missouri, this is the Josh Hawley seat, and this could theoretically get under 10 with Lucas Kunce. We'll see what happens. Hawley has the fundraising. He's the incumbent. It's a fairly red state, so I'm going to keep this at safe. We've also got Indiana, Tennessee, and Mississippi. And for the most part, it's a case of a weak Democratic bench and or an incumbent Republican. Those are going to stay safe. The last safe state for the Republicans is going to be West Virginia. This is going to be a flip and a pickup. Joe Manchin is not running, so this is as close to an instant flip as it gets. It looks like it's going to be Jim Justice, and Republicans have their first pickup. Now let's go down to the likely states. These are going to be between a 5 and a 10-point margin, or otherwise have an outside chance of being competitive. For the Democrats on the East Coast, we're going to start in New Jersey. Now the reason this is at likely and not safe is because we don't really know what Bob Menendez is going to do just yet. Plus he's scandal plagued. There's a chance some of that spills over onto the general election. Plus the Democrats might have a messy primary between Tammy Murphy and Andy Kim. Republicans have almost no chance here in the general, but there's enough chaos and unknowns to put it at likely. Next door in Pennsylvania, we've got Bob Casey, the incumbent. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't really see this getting that close. Maybe David McCormick is stronger than I think, but for me, this is closer to safe than it is to leans, but we'll see what happens. Next, in Maryland, this state has moved from safe down to likely Democrat. Popular former Governor Larry Hogan got in at the last second. He's the best case scenario for the Republicans. It's true, a lot of the base does not like him, and he does have to get through a primary. In the general election, I think he has very little chance, but Hogan put this race on the map as something to at least take a look at. So as a precaution, it goes down to likely. The last state is going to be Virginia. Tim Kaine seems likely to win. There's a lot of candidates running on the Republican side. Maybe it's Hung Cao. Maybe it's Scott Parkinson. Either way, there's an outside chance this race gets competitive. Kaine is going to be the strong favorite. Now, the likely states for the Republicans, we're going to go down to Texas. And right now, I would say Cruz gets it by about a 6% margin. Looks like he's going to face Colin Allred. Cruz is not the most likable guy. We got to take a look at the trends. Republicans don't want to fall asleep on this race and have it get unexpectedly competitive, so for that, it is going to be likely. Now, the rest of these states are either lean margins, which are 5 points or less, or tilt, which are 1 point or less. Now, the first state I want to get out of the way is Florida. This is a state I've kept at leans Republican for Rick Scott, the incumbent. Every time I do, I get a bunch of comments that say, how could you have Florida as leans, but Texas as likely? I get it, the states have trended in the opposite direction. Republicans had a phenomenal midterm there. Rick Scott has won some close races, races, his name ID is sky high, so he does have a strong electoral track record, but personally, I think he's more of a weaker candidate. He's not at all in the league of Marco Rubio. Right now, I think it's at about a 4.5-point margin. I could easily bump it up to likely just to avoid some of these comments I know I'm going to get. I know some people even have this as safe for the GOP. I want to see who's for sure going to be the nominee for the Democrats in some general election polling, but again, everybody's going to have some different takes. Now let's do the lean states for the Democrats. First, we've got Nevada. Incumbent Jackie Rosen might be facing off against Sam Brown. I think it's going to be close, but right now I would say Rosen gets it by about 2 points. Next door in Arizona, this race is going to be complicated. We still don't know what Sinema's going to do. Kerry Lake is polarizing. Ruben Gallego is hoping to capitalize on the dysfunction. The border is an issue in this state. I don't know what's going to happen, so it's hard to really rate this state, but I'm going to say right now it goes leans at a 2.5-point margin for Gallego. Next, we've got Wisconsin. Baldwin is the incumbent. Republicans really got none of the candidates they wanted. They might put up Eric Hovde, who already ran 12 years ago. I don't think he's a great candidate, but you never know what's going to happen. This is a purple state, but there's no question Baldwin is going to have the advantage, and we're going to put it at leans. The last lean state is Michigan. It's an open seat. Alyssa Slotkin is probably going to be the nominee for the Democrats. She does have to navigate dealing with Biden and the conflict with Israel and Hamas, but I think she's going to have good suburban appeal. It's not for sure, but she might be facing off against Mike Rogers. This should be competitive, but Slotkin is going to get the advantage. Now we've got 2 states left. Let's look at Montana. Just like in my previous predictions, Jon Tester, the incumbent, he's won some narrow races before. They might have been during favorable environments. So you might say this time with Trump on the ballot, the turnout is going to put likely Republican nominee Tim Sheehy over the top. I've heard all the different takes that Jon Tester has the right mix to keep the state blue, or there's no chance Tester can win again. The most recent poll that was out did show Tester with a comfortable advantage. But again, we haven't really even gotten into primary season yet. We don't know what's going to happen. It's probably going to be super close. So this far out, I'm going to keep my rating the same at a tilt for the incumbent Tester. The last state is Ohio. This state has definitely gotten a lot redder. Sherrod Brown has also won some races during favorable environments. If it wasn't Brown, this would almost certainly be a flip, but it is Brown. Republicans have a primary to get through. It looks like Bernie Moreno might be rising in the polls. This primary is actually coming up this month. So once we narrow it down to one candidate, it's going to be easier to rate. But out of precaution, right now I'm going to keep the rating the same at a tilt for Brown. So the final map is 50 Democrats and 50 Republicans. Republicans have one flip and a pickup in West Virginia. Democrats have no flips, but they're absolutely in danger of losing Montana and Ohio. Republicans have some targets in Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, and Michigan. The only semi-reasonable flips Democrats have would be in Florida or Texas. I don't think those are going to flip, just like I don't think Pennsylvania or Virginia is going to flip for the GOP. But that's what I've got, and I know some people are going to disagree with 1 or 2 of these ratings. I get it, but that's what it's all about. Nobody wants to have the exact same map. Some of these ratings are also very borderline and could go either way. But once we get more of the primaries out of the way and closer to the summer, then we're going to have a better idea of the national environment, how things are looking for president, and what the key issues are at the time. So that's the updated prediction and a stroll through a lot of the Senate races. Let me know in the comments, how does your prediction look as of early March? If you can get past Florida just barely being leans Republican, what are the other changes you would make? I'm sure Montana and Ohio are going to come up, but maybe you're looking at another state like Nebraska or New Jersey. And you can't forget about Larry Hogan and Maryland. Let me know your thoughts down below. On your way out, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join if you'd like to support the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.